Hi, Guelph Moms. It's Tamsen. Welcome to the Tamsen Connects Guelph Moms podcast. I've put this together for the members of the Guelph Moms Supporting Moms Facebook group. I hope that you find it useful and helpful. I'm connecting members of the group with each other and with resources and with fun ideas for things like self-care and keeping kids busy while we're trying to work from home, or our kids might be, we might be homeschooling, our kids might be homesick. So I hope you find this helpful. If you would love to suggest another topic, get in touch with me, give me feedback. If you'd love to be a guest, you can always contact me through the Guelph Mom Supporting Moms Facebook group or private message me on Facebook. And you could also reach me through email, tamsen@tamsenconnects.com. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome. Hey, Courtney.
Hi, Tamsen.
We are here for an episode of Tamsen Connects Guelph Moms. You've been, and there's a cat bum behind you now.
I was going to say, she's probably going to get picked up on the mic, so we have a third party joining us.
And so this podcast is about self-care, focus on self-care. And I know you've been a part of Guelph Moms Supporting Moms. You're not a mom, at least not yet. I don't know what your plans are, and we'll just leave it there. But I invited you into the group because we have at times gotten a lot of people interested in fitness and stuff like that. So I wanted to have, I met you and I wanted to have kind of a quote unquote expert in the group that I could tag whenever those questions came up. And you run a local gym, Leobo Fit, kind of more or less downtown, right? And you're being a scratching post.
Oh, that's her asking for some love. Actually, speaking, I am a mom. I'm just a different type of mom. I'm a fur baby mama right now.
Yes. Well, and having gone through an whole infertility journey, I know like so many people in that phase get pets because it does fulfill something. I love pets. They fulfill something really important. So
yeah.
So I will give you a second. Maybe you can. McCarthy is your last name. I don't think I even said that. So if you can just let us know a little bit about you and your background. We were going to talk about body shame because that's something that you like to help people with. It's something you're very passionate about, but I'll give you a little bit of time to talk a little bit more about you first.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Courtney McCarthy, as you said, and I'm the owner of Leobo Fit, which stands for Love Your Body Fitness. We are a hybrid fitness community, which means we do have a location in Guelph, but we also have a fully virtual community now as well, thanks to the pandemic. She's just going to be part of it today. That's okay. And I first started
working from home.
I know, right? Zoom meetings, real life. So the reason I started Leobo Fit, there's kind of two aspects to my story. The first was my own health and fitness journey. And it was through being at a place where I was carrying extra weight, not feeling good in my body, suffering from pretty extreme symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome. So I was in a lot of pain and discomfort, and I was just overall unhappy in my life. So the kind of magic formula that I found was my gateway was Zumba. That's what first kind of led me to seeing fitness and becoming a part of the fitness world. Was I had this amazing instructor in Ottawa who showed me, and for the first time in my life, created a safe space that I could just be in my body, that it wasn't about burning calories, that it wasn't about looking a certain way or looking hard or working hard. It was the first time I had a joyful experience in the gym, where it was just all these women of all different ages, sizes, colors, backgrounds, have just had the goal of moving their body together. So it became my mission to help give that to other women and for me to be the same safe space for other women. And then that evolved into, I started working at gyms and I became a fitness professional, much to my own surprise. And through working at a large amount of studios, and gyms, and I worked at the big box gyms and I worked at other small studios, and different community centers and stuff. I realized how broken the industry itself is. And how both as an employee and instructor, I felt undervalued and not seen and not heard. But then on the flip side, how many members and clients that I was working with were mirroring my experience back to me of feeling like the system didn't work for them. They weren't finding the happiness in their body, the joyful movement, and the results that they were seeking. And that's how Loyola was born. I made it my mission to prove that there was a different way forward, that it didn't have to just be that magical class that I found in Ottawa that gave me a safe space, and that one instructor that gave me a safe space. I could build a community and a studio where the whole thing, the whole thing was a safe space and built on those values. So that's what I try to now do on a daily basis, is to help people, but especially women, learn how to see their bodies differently, to come to a new place and to heal their relationship with both movement as well as food, and to be able to make choices and use fitness as the foundation of love and confidence rather than punishment and hating their bodies.
Okay. I remember the first time we met in person. I think you said something like part of the journey happens in your head.
Yeah, a big part of it.
And I thought that was really, really important, as somebody who lives in their head very much.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of our expectations and our judgments and all of that sort of thing too. Like you were on a roll before I started recording about some of that stuff, particularly as you were saying that happens through motherhood and pregnancy, and even for women who don't give birth, about passing stuff on to our kids. I think that for so many of us, we were given our current ideals and perspectives and norms, and the shoulds. We should on ourselves a lot about what this idea of a healthy body looks like, what this idea of loving ourselves look like, what this idea of what that formula looks like, of like how to go, what that path looks like, of how to get from where you are now to the body that you want. And many of us were given those things, whether it was, from the diet culture that we live in and the society that surrounds us, but also oftentimes from our parents, from the environment that we grew up in. Many of us have had mothers or women in our lives that hated their bodies and passed that down to us, often not intentionally, right? They're doing the best that they could with what they've got. So I think that a big part of what a lot of people are slowly waking up to is the idea of like healing that generational trauma and choosing a new pathway forward, reclaiming their definition of success and letting go of this one size fits all ideal of a skinny body is what you want and what you should be striving after, that the definition of health is directly related to the size and shape of your body, that by being healthy means restriction and sacrifice and willpower and punishment and all of those things. Like, I think that that storyline made a lot of people money. Yeah, I was also thinking that.
Yeah, it made a lot of people money. And it's also, to be frank, part of the oppressive system of the racist society that many of us grew up in and are still living in. So it's a big process of unlearning and really intentionally choosing our way forward to say, no, we can celebrate other types of bodies. We can celebrate the way, especially what you just said, the way that bodies change, I think is also a really beautiful thing that, when you get to a certain part of self-love, it's not an end destination. It's not, many of us, when I lose the weight, I'll love my body. When I get, we were just talking about this, when I get my baby body back, right? My pre-baby body back, that's when I'll feel good. And it's like, that's all a myth. It's not about loving your body only when it performs a certain way or does something the way that you want it to, or looks the way that you want it to. it's about learning how to love your body and see the worthiness in all of its sizes, shapes, and forms, and as it changes throughout your life, because the body that you have now is not going to be the body that you have in 5 years. And that's not going to be the body. And we've all done it. Women as a whole, oh my God, how often have you looked back at a photo of yourself from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when you know that you had self-esteem issues, when you know that you hated your body, and you look back and you go, oh my God, my body was beautiful. It was so
I'd give
gorgeous.
anything to look like that again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the key is not that your body, even now, you're going to look back in probably 5 to 10 years and think the same thing. So instead of thinking about that in retrospect, it's about learning how to love your body the way that it is now in its current state and when it changes. So,
and just like along the same lines, when people say, oh, I'd give anything to get my pre-baby body back, I'm like, were you happy with it then?
But also that means if you were truly getting your pre-baby body back, then you wouldn't have baby.
Yeah, well,
right? There's no going back. So it's about also, I'm like really, I think, coming to a place of peace and acceptance and having a sense of worthiness and a sense of love about your body that isn't dependent on looks and is a lot more focused on ability and what it can do. Like, often when I talk about mothers, it's about celebrating the fact that, you can look at it in different ways. If you're a mom who was able to carry that baby and go through a pregnancy, your body created life, like of seeing it, that, the new skin or the C-section scars or the, maybe some new weight, none of that is a failing. That's the outcome of something wonderful. And learning how to see it like that. Or if you are, not a woman or a parent who carried a child, then it's about recognizing too, the same thing of like abilities based of like, does your body allow you to play with your kids? Does it allow you to hold your child? Does it allow you to express love to your partner? Does it allow you to pick them up and hold them when you cry? Like, those are all things that make our bodies worthy because of what they can do, and none of which are dependent on what they look like.
So we should probably, I think you've got an appointment coming up. We should probably wrap up. One of the things that I would really like is to try to kind of have some concrete, because I love theoretical conversations and talking about ideas, but they're kind of up here. And there's a lot of people who are more practical than I am. Who are like,
bring it down, real life. Yeah.
What do I do? Yeah. And I think, so one of the things that I think is really important that you've said is looking for a safe space, looking for a safe person, because we're never going to be able to, well, never is a hard word, but it's difficult to get yourself out of a particular mindset and belief system when you're surrounding yourself in it all the time.
Community is everything. And I actually love to use the analogy of, if you want to learn a language, what's the fastest route to get there? Is it taking a class a few times a week? Like, let's say you want to learn Spanish. Is it taking a Spanish class a few times a week while you live in Canada, a very English-speaking country? Or are you going to get there faster by moving to Spain, taking the classes, hiring a private tutor of somebody who's spoken Spanish their whole life? Like, everybody knows the answer. You're going to learn it faster the other way. So we look at it the same thing as like, if you are, exactly as you said, if you are surrounding yourself with people who are pushing that narrative of the one size fits all, skinny is better, et cetera, that's going to always be influencing you. Versus if you can, and that can start by whether it's joining a community like Yoga Fit, or it could also be something as simple as like edit your newsfeed and audit the media that you consume. So when you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, are you seeing different bodies? And when I say different bodies, it's not just seeing bodies like your own or bodies that you think you aspire to. Different bodies, different shapes, different abilities, different sizes, different scars or abnormalities or markings. Normalize that to yourself. And also, audit the media that you consume. And that does include social media, as far as like, how does it make you feel? After you watch that TV show, after you read that book, after you follow that person on Instagram, do they leave you feeling like your body is not enough? That your body is bad, that your body is not worthy? And if so, why do you keep them in your life? Make sure that and this isn't about toxic positivity as far as surrounding yourself with like, yes, people, but it's about having that awareness of saying, I was watching a podcast the other day and they said that right now our most valuable resource is our time. How many people are trying to pay us, pay for our data and pay to follow us and track our movements and sell to us, right? So the most powerful thing that you can do is reclaim that and say, no, I'm only going to consume things that truly bring me joy and make me feel good about who I am. So that's like the simplest first step is edit your social media feed and surround yourself with people who lift you up and normalize your body rather than tearing you down.
And I try to do that with Guelph Moms Supporting Moms too. Yeah. Like there are people who come on about, there was somebody who came on just the other day, I think asking about a cleanse. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we do live in this culture where a lot of things are unscientific and a lot of things are, you were saying the diet culture about deprivation, right? It's like, it's only worthwhile if it's really freaking hard.
Well, even it's always about asking yourself, what's at the root of that decision? So for example, I get asked all the time, because I talk about so much body love and acceptance and we're we try very hard to work against fat phobia. But then the question gets asked all the time, well, what if I want to lose weight, right? What if I want to do a cleanse? And I always come back to that, like weight loss or cleanses, let's say, or starting a new fitness program. Those in and of themselves are not bad or wrong choices. But what's at the root of them? Are you doing the cleanse because at the heart, your primary reason is because you believe that your body is not performing, meaning that you believe that your body cannot cleanse itself, or you believe that this cleanse is going to fix how you feel about your body? Then that's not the reason to do it. In the same way that if you want to lose weight because you think that that's going to fix how you feel, or that will take your body into worthiness, none of that is true. And that's always going to set you up for failure because it's always going to leave you seeking the next thing because you're seeking an external source of worthiness. However, if you like a certain type of cleanse because it genuinely makes your body feel good and that helps you perform at best and it brings you joy, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it's about having that awareness of being honest with yourself and asking yourself, what's at the root of this? Is the root the belief that my body is not worthy or capable? And if so, then, that's another tip of just flexing that muscle of asking yourself why, or the so what question, and challenging that narrative and that self-talk that you have in your head of like, if you are making choices, like just ask yourself, we're talking about moms, be the toddler that says, why? Why? And keep going through those layers, because a lot of us have these unexamined beliefs and make these kind of unexamined decisions thinking that they're for a different reason or taking us in a different direction. But really, if we start peeling back those layers, what's at the root is, I was doing this with a client the other day and it was, we were talking about feeling challenged in a fitness class, right? Of like, a lot of people like that challenge of like, pushing yourself hard. And I kept asking, I was like, what do you like about it though? Like, let's explore this. And it came down to, because she felt like when she was challenging herself, it was proving her worthiness. So I was like, so you don't actually like the feeling of being challenged. You like the worthiness and the validation that comes with it. And that led us to explore some new ideas that we could move forward of like, okay, if that's not actually what you enjoy, what can we do that you enjoy, and how can we pursue that instead? And it just allows you to go in with both eyes open and begin to make choices differently and really call in that joy and that love.
That's cool. Yeah, because paying attention and needing to earn worthiness, you're basically telling yourself you're not enough, and you're reinforcing the exact thing you don't want.
Yeah. And you're never gonna get the thing out of it that you want, which is worthiness. You have to be able to first find that and then choose from that instead. Yeah. Choose from, okay, what would my life look like, and what decision would I make out of love? If I did love my body, if I knew it was worthy. And that can be a pretty revolutionary idea for many of us.
I often ask people, to put a frame around how they're treating themselves as if they're their own friend. And I don't try and encourage multiple personality disorder or anything like that. But I mean, I have friends who are overweight.
Mm-hmm.
Do I judge them? Do I think of them? I have friends who are thin. I have friends who are very overweight. I have friends, and I've become more overweight since all, you know, becoming a mom and all that stuff. And I'm like,
Life. Yeah.
I value ideas, and I've lived up in my head for long enough. I don't judge myself based on that.
Mm-hmm.
But when people do, it's like, but do you judge me? Do you think I'm less worthy than I would be if I lost 50 pounds? Like, and most people would be like, no, doesn't matter. But it's like our hair, right? We tend to like everybody's hair except ours.
Yeah, we do. We tend to create our own standards for ourselves. And I think too, you know, and the question that can go hand in hand with that, because the answer might be for some people, well, yes, I would judge you if you insert body change here. And that's when that why question can be powerful. Why would you judge them? What does that say about them to you? Or what does it say about you? And that's where we can get down to what the root of it is. And often it could be, you know, maybe you were told growing up that, you know, people of a certain size were lazy or whatever, like many of us were told, and that people of a different size were, you know, beautiful and attractive. So it's about exploring those concepts. And once we're aware of them, then we can start to break them down and to decide for ourselves what, you know, as you said, like you value ideas, you find a lot of attractiveness and worthiness in, you know, the mental space. So that can be part of your definition of what a healthy, you know, worthy body is. And each of us can decide that for ourselves and really come to our own unique definition of success and worthiness and beauty that allows us to live really fulfilled lives.
And one thing that's coming to mind is I love questioning. I'm a very like that's part of my personality, but it scares some people. And the amount of change we're talking about can be seen as a lot, right? Like moving to Spain to learn Spanish. Pretty scary.
That's not a lot of people. Yeah.
Right?
So it's taking baby steps, one step at a time. You know, maybe you're not ready to fully dive in, but maybe you are ready to audit your newsfeed. Maybe you know, we have a pathway to success in our community that kind of goes through 6 stages, depending on where you're at in your journey. And everybody has to go through all 6. So it's not as what we're talking about too is even, you know, I never like to hold myself up as this ideal of like, hey, I've done it. I've got the answer.
Yeah.
Because again, that would imply that there's this end destination. Like I very much am on the same journey too. And I have days that I love my body and I walk out the front door thinking I'm, you know, the hottest piece of A that you've ever seen. And I have other days where I feel frumpy and gross and, you know, I don't feel so great. And it's about working through those. So the amount of time that you've spent living in your body thinking a certain way, it's going to take the same amount of time to learn a new way. But the hopeful side of that equation is that there is another way. You can get to a point of, as you even said, of just like your body just like not even being that important, right? Like it just doesn't have to be like I remember, you know, at the start of my journey, I was obsessed with my body. It was all that I thought about. It prevented me, and I know like many women, it prevented me from living my life. I couldn't wear what I wanted. I wouldn't show up to, you know, certain functions, or I would change how I showed up to certain functions based on how I felt that day. And it took up a lot of energy and space in my thoughts. So even that can be a progress of like, you know, making steps toward it being not the most important thing about you and being able to recognize the other areas in your life that you find satisfaction, or being able to, again, learn how to make choices out of love. And that doesn't have to be a small thing. It can be you know, how you look at your breakfast in the morning, how you talk to yourself when you get dressed, you know, the choice of words that you use when you describe your body or your kid's body, or, you know, the way that you look at food. It's accumulation of a lot of baby steps. It's just a lot. It's one of those things I look at it as just a lot easier to dive in and start doing it all at once. But you don't have to. It can definitely be a gradual, one step at a time as you're ready.
And do you find, I'm discovering that there's like a dip when someone starts the journey, because awareness is the first necessary step, but that can be very painful, right? You want to avoid, you want to stop doing these things, but becoming more aware of it means you're embedded in it before you can see that you're actually making progress. Do you run into that a lot? I want to normalize that for people, that sometimes the beginning of the journey and trying to make a change, that becoming more aware of you, that you are in a place you don't want to be, is kind of normal.
Yeah. And I think too that, again, that's where that question can always come back, is how can I choose love? Because it can definitely be overwhelming in the sense of, recognizing you aren't where you want to be, but not really exactly feeling sure of how to get from where you are now to the place that you do want to be. And the biggest reassurance that I would love to tell people is that, like, just know it's possible. It might feel impossible. It might feel that, that goal is so far away, but it's, especially when it comes to body shame and body confidence and feeling differently about your body, I will say that if you start to use some of the tools even that I've suggested today, and feel free if you're looking for more, I have plenty more. Follow us on Instagram. I got plenty of free resources I can send people's way, to help them get started. But know that it often happens immediately and instantaneously, where you start to feel differently. It's not a constant, meaning, like, as I said, it's not as if a light switch is going to go off and you're going to be perfectly fine, but maybe it's you go an hour without thinking about your body, or maybe you're able to eat the thing and not beat yourself up afterwards. Or maybe it's you tried on an outfit that you weren't thinking that you were going to try on. Like, it's in those small victories like that. And those do come quickly. Okay. If you allow yourself to keep showing up, the small victories start to come quickly and furiously if you allow yourself to be open. And that's part of the journey that we really advocate too, is really recognizing and celebrating all of those small moments, because that's what it's made up as. As I said, there's never going to be a big finish grand prize of like, okay, you're healed. Your body is great. Here we go. But it's about recognizing that sort of progress of like, I did the thing I was afraid of, or I wore the thing, or yeah, I ate the thing and didn't beat myself up afterwards. Those are all moments that are really worth celebrating.
And I think community is important, because I know Marie Forleo has this saying, everything is figure outable. And I teach it to my son, but I add, everything is figure outable and you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. And especially, people who finding your people who are going to celebrate with you. Yeah. And recognize the importance of those small milestones, because they might seem really insignificant if you're not doing the work. And also people who just understand what you're going through, and maybe understand some of that initial kind of shock. Yeah. And who understand, especially what the dips are going to be what the dips are going to be like. Because you talked about a beginning dip, there are many dips along the way.
Fair enough.
But the goal is that you don't dip as low, you don't stay down for as long. And that, I always say the first thought doesn't matter. It's what you do next. Okay. So even, for example, like, I have not gotten to the point where, I don't have all of those, quick judgment thoughts, where, you might look at your body in the mirror and there's that quick judgment, right? Of like, oh, my stomach looks, bulgy today or whatever. So those thoughts, that takes long time. However, that's the sort of thing that I used to have that thought, and that would take me out. That thought was all there was. Now it's at a point where I have that thought, and then my next thought goes, yeah, but my stomach is still awesome. Awesome. Or so what? Like, so what if you can see my belly button a little bit more on the shirt and it's, not flat today? Like, who cares? So that's the second thought that comes out. And throughout my journey, that thought just keeps getting quicker and quicker. And that first thought starts appearing less and less.
Awesome.
That's what you have to look forward to, is that it's the slow snowball, and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh my God, I went a whole day without thinking something negative about my body. That's awesome. Or like, hey, I wore the thing and like nothing happened. That's also awesome, because we often build up those fears, right? Of like, oh my God, I'm going to wear that dress and everybody's going to say something, or I'm going to feel awful. And then you wear the dress and lo and behold, nothing. You just wear the dress and enjoy the dress and feel good in the dress.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you. I think I've kept you a little bit late. You're going to be late for your
That's okay. That's okay.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I will try and post. So you're mainly on Instagram. I will send people your way. Thanks
Awesome.
a lot.
And thanks for having me. And thanks for having such a great platform to help other women.
It's really needed, especially in these pandemic times.
Especially in these times.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. So I hope you found that episode useful, fun, interesting. If you'd like to give me feedback of any sort, I'd really appreciate it. You can private message me through Facebook. You can reach me through the Guelph Moms Supporting Moms Facebook group, or you can email me at tamsen@tamsenconnects.com. And I hope to see you back here again. Bye.